Welcome to the Slow Smoked Pigskin podcast. I'm Darren.
And I mean Drew. And this is
our podcast.
What are you doing? You're not Aaron.
You're not Drew.
I think we should go.
That was weird, right?
Yeah, it was.
Anyways, I'm Aaron.
I'm Drew.
And this is our podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the episode 36 of the Slow Smoked Pigskin podcast. A depressed Aaron.
I'm just as depressed, Drew.
I didn't want to do this episode. I hate fantasy football this week. I have 6 leagues. I think I went 2-4. Miserable. Whatever. Anyways, congratulations to Jason Freeman on his weekly win. 152.92 points. Had he set a perfect lineup, it would have been 181.72, which made me feel a little bit better with how many points I left on my bench against him. Because if we had both set perfect lineups, he would have beat me. I will say that of his 152 points, he put up like 70 of them on Monday night. So I had this little glimmer of hope, and then he crushed it like a little bug. So, yeah, we'll talk about this week.
Congratulations, Jason. All right. So we're moving on to our weekly matchups. The first one that we're going with is Janelle and Steve. Good job, Janelle. She finally gets 2 wins, not just the beating of the median. This was our narrowest victory of the week, with Janelle scoring 142.65 against Steve's 142.26.
I'll tell you, we were like watching the score live while we were watching the games, and I thought that something happened and he was up by a couple of points.
I thought so too. And then I almost texted her and saying,
I think what happened, honestly, because I was trying to figure out, it had Aiden Hutchinson have like 0 points, and then all of a sudden it had him have 3, and I think that was enough to swing the game. And I was like,
something happened, because I almost texted her saying like, you have the worst luck ever.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, but Steve did get the highest points in the loss. If they both would have set perfect lineups, Janelle would have scored 162.05 and Steve would have had 159.96, so nothing would have had changed there. I do want to say in our Yahoo League, Steve beat me by 0.16 points. So you can't get both, Steve. Sorry. You could lose by a little bit and win by a little bit. All right.
I don't know that. That's really funny.
Yeah, it's not that funny. But Janelle was led by Jordan Addison with 21.4 points. He was projected to get 9.86. And Jonathan Taylor with 17.8, projected at 13.97. Steve was led by Baker Mayfield at 27.88 with a projection of 14.6, and King Henry himself doing it again. This time he's doing it the first half of the season, so at the second half of the season, hopefully he gets hurt or something, and not like badly, but you know what I mean. 33.4 points with a projection of 13.01.
I'm pretty sure he had 13.01 fantasy points after the first play of the game.
First play.
Actually, when I think about it, 87 yards and a touchdown, that'd be 14. So yeah, he had more than that on the first play of the game.
He had his projection early on, yes.
Yeah.
The bust for Janelle was Pat Mahomes. He only got 14 points out of his 20.48 projection. Steve was let down by Garrett Wilson at 4.6 with a projection of 11.55.
Dude, like, I drafted Mahomes in the league. I heard some stat that over his last 20 games, he's been over 15 fantasy points, like only a couple of times. Like, he's potentially, I mean, he's got a huge name, so nobody's going to bench him, but he's basically a streaming quarterback right now, which is just insane.
Right.
Like,
Like,
he's so good
filling-
for the NFL, but in
Mhm.
fantasy right now, he's not.
He's fill in for your bye week type of quarterback with the fantasy right now.
Yeah,
but
it's bad.
they're 4-0 and they're winning, and it's like,
Yeah.
as an NFL fan, like, how are you going to argue with that? But
Yeah.
as the fantasy managers, sorry.
Yeah. Janelle left Fryermuth on her bench, who could have put up, I just lost it. Where'd it go? He could have put up 14.2 points. Steve left Goff on his bench, who had his 18 for 18 passing performance plus a touchdown reception, a receiving touchdown.
Receiving, yes.
But it didn't matter because Baker, who Steve started, still had a better day. And then Tucker Kraft is looking like a potential answer at the tight end position right now, since tight end's still pretty rough. He had 14.3 points on Steve's bench. Injuries for these teams. Will Levis went down with a shoulder injury. Mason Rudolph came in and showed that he's still also garbage. Last I heard, there was...
but he looks so good compared to...
No, he didn't. He's still like under 50% passing. I think I heard a report that Will Levis is still the quarterback for the team. If he's good to play. I haven't heard any update.
Did you hear what happened? Like, he took a
was a
dive
short-
on the sideline and
He
then
took a
didn't...
dive. I was watching and he landed funny on his shoulder.
But his helmet was on the whole time. Like, it just
Yeah.
looked like they were like, let's just go with the hot hand right now.
Yeah, well, he came off and like you could see they showed him like say I hurt my shoulder on that play, and then he was trying to throw on the sideline, and then after that they just let Rudolph run with the game, but it was bad. AJ Brown he missed the game. They're going into the bye week. Hopefully he's coming back after the bye. Trey McBride missed the game with a concussion, and so you hope that they can come back from a concussion after 2 weeks.
I didn't update this, but I did read today that he was at practicing, so that's a good sign.
So like I was actually reading about Austin Eckler earlier today, and they were talking about that even if a player's at practice and whatnot, it's the independent neurological consultant that still has to approve them. But it's at least generally a good sign when they're back at practice.
At least you're going in the right direction.
Yep. And just throwing out there, both of these teams have full IRs because I think everybody's got a full IR at this point. It's pretty rough. So, yeah.
All right. Matchup number 2. We've already spoken about it a little bit, but it's
we talked about it enough.
Champ against Jason F., which was the best team versus the least efficient team. Aaron had 129.4 points. Could have had 175.79, and Jason got 152.92. Could have had 181.72.
I just like to point out that every week I've been projected to have the most points.
Yeah, because on paper you've got a really good team, but that doesn't mean anything apparently this year.
Nope.
Aaron was led by DeAndre Swift with 26 points, projected with 7.79, so that was good for him. And Jaden Reed, 23.6, projected with 11.13.
The funniest part about that is that like I never should have played DeAndre Swift, but I had to throw him in because Joe Mixon was hurt. Otherwise, I never would have started him. So I got lucky on that one, but yeah, didn't matter.
No. Jason was led by Ken Walker III. Have a day coming back off of his injury at 32.6 points, projected with 10.717. He had his 3 touchdowns and some yards. Jason also had the 49ers D, which got him more points than anybody on Aaron's team in general at 29.1. Projected at just under 10 points. And I just threw in Chuba Hubbard at 20.1 also. So yes, Jason's team showed up.
Like I said, Ken Walker with 32.6 points on Monday night. Jahmyr Gibbs on Monday night with another 19.8. Sam Laporta, he only had 7. Kenneth Walker with
Sam Laporte looked
32.
really good for what Sam Laporte has been doing this year, so
Yeah.
that's a good sign.
I'm just saying, like, I was like, all right, I got a chance going into Monday night, and then like it's about 60 points, so whatever. Anyways, okay, moving on.
All right, we're gonna bust real quick. Aaron, with his epic trade for Josh Allen, got him 7.3 points on a projection of 20.26, and Breece Hall, his RB1 at 2.8 points.
So my stud quarterback and my stud running back combined for 10.1 points.
Your 40-ish points, 40-plus points out of your top two players got you less than 10.
No, they were projected for 37.
Oh, my bad.
And they got me just over 10.1. Great. Anyways. Okay,
Potato.
Continue.
Zay Flowers was the biggest bust for Jason at 1.5 points off of 11.37, but yeah, Zay Flowers.
We'll have to see what that means later. Busts. Oh, I'm sorry. We just did bust. Bench heroes. So Trey Tucker went off again. Well, not hugely, but 12.9 points. Not a bad day with Devontae Adams out. And then I had two other defenses on my bench that I could have played instead of the Dallas defense because Dallas somehow forgot how to play defense after week 1. So that crushed me. Jason, Justice Hill was on his bench with 18.6. It wouldn't have made a huge difference. We already know it sucks. Injuries. I mentioned Joe Mixon missed the game again with his ankle injury. He's day-to-day. I think they're hoping he's back this week, is looking likely. Russell Wilson is ramping up with his calf, but honestly, at this point, I can't imagine them switching to Russ after how Fields has been doing. They're, winning games. I know they lost this last one, but they've looked good. And
he had a really good second half.
And the thing about Russell Wilson is like, okay, he got all his money from the Broncos, and so he's like, oh, I'm just going to go another team and take the veteran minimum because I'm already getting paid. Well, the problem is that means the Steelers have nothing invested in him. So if Fields is doing it and there's a potential that Fields is their future, why would you switch to Russ?
Right.
So, and then Brandon Cooks just got announced today that he's out for at least 1 week and possibly more with a knee infection. Like, I don't even know what that means. Like, how do you just randomly get an infection in your knee?
Apparently he got some injury during the game and kept playing on it, and now it's an infection, meaning it's probably swollen and hurts.
I don't know. So either way, he's out now.
He's out.
Too. So Mixon might be back, Wilson might be back, Cooks is now out for at least 1 and possibly more.
Yeah. All right, matchup number 3. We have Josh with Hot Garbage. Lowest points in a win against Jason S. And he got the win because Jason is the worst team this week.
Yeah, so Josh was the second worst, but he just so happened to face the last worst.
He got just enough. Good for him because he got handed a team that no one thought was going to do anything. And he is what? We'll go over this later, but he's got a winning record, and he's in 3rd place right now. So
yeah, the only problem is like is he going to finish the season in just a good enough spot to screw himself on a draft pick?
That's true. That is true. But anyways, so 96.11 points for Josh. Jason had 94.19. Josh was led by Terry McLaurin, 14.7 on a 9.85 projection, and Jake Moody, his kicker, with 13 points on an 8.74 projection. Jason had Jordan Mason, who had a good day at 23 points, and David Montgomery, who had a ridiculous run in that game on Monday night.
That was a good run.
14.5 points.
I would just like to point out that those are both players that I just traded to him in the Josh Allen deal. So they combined for almost 40 points.
I didn't even put 2 and 2 together, but that's really funny.
Yeah. So imagine how bad his team would have been this week had that trade not happened. Because he put up 94 with 37 of it coming from players I just sent him.
Right. And he would have had Josh Allen as a starting quarterback.
Exactly.
Bust for Josh. It's really tight ends have sucked this year. Mark Andrews 0, 2 weeks in a row.
Dude, it's this is panic alarm time. Like, and it's not even like he got one target which he dropped. So like, it's not like he's just getting he's not even getting targeted. It's insane.
Yeah, but when you have Lamar Jackson who can run the ball, right? We already knew that. And now you have Henry that you can just hand the ball off to, and he can go do whatever he wants to do with Will. Like, they don't need it'll come. He's not going to have the consistent games that he's been having.
Right.
He's going to blow up and have a game or two while he's on someone's bench probably.
Right.
But they're not going to sustain this the whole season.
I've traded away or benched him in the couple of leagues I have him at this point.
At this point, you kind of you go with the hot hand for your tight end, and you hope that you can find somebody. Like, I picked up Kraft in a couple of the leagues, and
he's looking all right.
It's looking okay. Like, if I can get 7-8 points out of a tight end, like, I'm going to be happy. But
we didn't talk about it. I've got Kelsey on my team, which we didn't talk about. I benched him last week.
Yeah.
He finally showed up a little bit, 11 points, but jumping ahead a little bit, Kelsey might have some more needed usage coming up, so we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Kyler Murray, disappointing day at 9.98 points. For Jason, he started the Bills. He got him a whole 0.15 points, and Devin Singletary at 4.3 points.
Honestly, I'm almost shocked that the Bills had positive points with how bad they got stomped. Bench heroes, Josh had Dontavian Wicks, who came in and got a ton of targets once Christian Watson got hurt, ended up with 22.3 fantasy points. Jason, also who he got in the trade for me, left Justin Fields on the bench, who put up 30.98 fantasy points on a projection of 15.9. So Fields finally had his big day, but we'll see. Injuries, Cordero Patterson with Jalen Warren out was starting to look good. He was starting to rack up yards, and then he hurt his ankle. So you got a report here that says he's expected to still be available next week.
He's expected to play.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just what I read on the notes on here. Like, it's not expected to be. I think it's a low end ankle sprain, like nothing that they're thinking is going to take him out for any significant time.
Right.
But definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yep. Austin Eckler missed the game as we expected because of his concussion. He's back at least a limited practice. If he gets if he gets the nod from the independent neurologist, then he'll be back. Devontae Adams missed the game. He's already been declared out for next week, supposedly with his hamstring injury or whatever.
Yeah, it didn't say anything about him. It just said that he's out or listed as questionable now.
I got a notification that he's out this week, and I think there was already a little injury there, and now all the trade drama. I don't think Devontae Adams is going to be on the Raiders for very long. Well, I'll just talk about it here instead of talk about it later. So did you hear how the drama started?
No.
Somebody like beat reporter or something posted on social media that they thought that it's possible that Devontae Adams had played his last snap for the Raiders. And then apparently Antonio Pierce liked the post.
No.
Yeah. And so then all this drama started, and then they started talking about, reaching out to other teams if they're interested. Then he requested a trade. I can't blame him to an extent, because he went to Las Vegas because he wanted to play with Derek Carr, and then they sent away Derek Carr. Right. So now, of course, the two main places that he wants to go is either the Jets to get back with Rodgers or the Saints to get with Carr. I've also heard Chiefs, but I don't think the Chiefs can afford it. I've heard the Cowboys.
I heard the Cowboys are out, and I heard Pittsburgh is a possibility.
I mean, it would make sense. They were going after Ayuk, so
Right.
Not
Yeah,
sure.
I saw something today that said the Cowboys are out on. Well,
Okay.
They can't. I mean, they don't.
No,
want to
they
spend
have
the money.
the cap space.
Do they want to spend the money?
Right. Yeah. That's what
They need a running back. They don't need a wide receiver.
Well, they
But-
need a second, especially like they
Yeah.
haven't had a good second option, and now Cooks is out. Like, I think
Tolbert's their answer, okay? Tolbert's their answer.
I wish. All right, sorry. Next matchup.
That's all right. What do we?
Oh no, we'll talk about that later. Okay.
Okay. Next matchup for Neil versus Joe. Joe coming out on top. Neil had 116.78 points versus Joe's 121.33.
You typed it. I don't know.
I know, I did. I know. There's too many numbers there. Neil was led by Jaden Daniels, who is freaking.
He's
fantastic.
he literally set a record, NFL record, for his efficiency over the last 4 games.
He finally threw his first interception. Am I correct?
Yeah, I believe that's correct. But he literally has a higher completion percentage in these 4 games that's higher than not any other rookie, never has another player had this high of a completion percentage for 4 games straight. Like the average over 4 games. And he can run the ball. Like, if he can keep this up, he is dang dangerous.
Yes. And I think I said this on the podcast many episodes ago that he was the guy that I would have picked coming out of this quarterback draft class. I just want to go on record.
Yeah, sure.
With Rashid, also had Rashid Shaheed at 14 points versus a 1057 projection. Joe was led with Alvin Kamara again at 21.4 and Deontay Johnson at 17.8 now that he finally has a quarterback throwing him the ball.
Dude, it's looking like if as long as Dalton starts, Deontay Johnson's a legit starter at wide receiver right now.
Yeah. Bust for Neil, Devon Achan, 4.4 versus almost a 14-point projection. And Joe had Travis Etienne, bust for him at 6.5, versus almost 11.5 projection.
Dude, the Dolphins' offense is just broken right now. It is bad. Did you hear McDaniel's comment? Like, I didn't hear what he actually said, but I heard somebody paraphrase it, and I need to go watch it. But basically what he implied was like, our offense on Sunday or Monday did not look like it did in practice all week with Tyler Huntley. So, yeah, that was fun.
I don't know
how they can't figure out a short dump-off pass. If you can throw short dump-off passes to
slants,
to
timing on slants, just run slants all day long.
Throw it to Tyreek and Achan, and you should be able to get something. I don't get it. How is Tyler Huntley ever voted to the Pro Bowl? That's just the most ridiculous thing ever.
I had forgotten about that until you said that in one of the text threads that we're on.
Yeah,
but it just goes to show you that, like, if you're Tua's not a great quarterback, okay? Tua is a really good quarterback. He's a better quarterback because of the players that he has around him.
Yep.
But all you need is someone Joe Flacco that can deliver them the ball. Look what Joe Flacco did in cleanup.
Cleveland.
Indy this year.
Yeah.
When Richardson went down, you just need someone that can deliver the ball.
Yeah.
You couldn't pick up anybody. Like, go get Tannehill. Like, right. I don't care what the beef was, but like, he can deliver the ball. He can throw the ball down the field to Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. I don't know that there's
trade for Russell Wilson.
I don't know if there's 32 quarterbacks in the NFL that should be starters at this point, which is just crazy. Like, it's bad.
Right.
Neil got left Taysom Hill on the bench considering he had an injury. Taysom Hill had 14.4 points because he had 2 rushing touchdowns. I don't even think he had a reception, if I remember correctly, but then he got hurt again. And then, as you mentioned, because Joe Flacco is actually a better passer by far than Anthony Richardson, Josh Downs had a big day on Joe's bench with 18.33 points. And David Njoku still missed that game, but he's back to practice and hopefully returning soon. Tank Dell missed the game, but he's expected to be back this week. Taysom Hill, as I just mentioned, had another injury. I don't know.
Bruised ribs on the other side of the bruised lung.
Oh, good. Awesome. Evan Ingram, there was a chance he was going to play this week, and then or last week, excuse me, and that didn't happen. So he's day to day with his hamstring. There's a potential he's coming back this week. I'm desperately hoping in one league. And then Devontae Smith, with his nasty concussion. But by the way, I hadn't seen it by the time we recorded last week. And then I watched it and it was like, oh, that was a nasty, aggressive hit.
Nasty.
By a dude who shouldn't have been making that hit. And it was bad.
Well, that and the fact that they should have blown that play dead.
Right, exactly. Like the guy
30 seconds before they did.
Yeah. So, anyways. All right, next matchup.
Matchup 5, we have Adrian, who was the most efficient manager of the week against
by
Eddie.
Most efficient, you mean got the highest percentage of their potential maximum points.
He started his best lineup, is essentially correct?
Closest to the best lineup, yeah.
Correct. And Eddie, who was our overachiever, which is probably going to be a reoccurring theme for him this year. Adrian had 148.14 points on his possible total was 158.59, and Eddie was 133.54. Oh, I didn't see what he was projected to get. 148.56 was what he could have gotten.
I'm sure it was under 100.
I'm sure it was, if not right at 100, yeah. But Adrian was led by Nico Collins at 27.1 points on 14 projection, and Mike Evans at 19.4 at the projection of 10.6. Eddie was led by the return of Jordan Love. I didn't think he was going to be this good this fast, but he went 31.1.
In the first half, he wasn't.
Yeah, true. 31.16 on a 16, almost 17 projection, and Chase Brown, he got the best out of him at 23.5 on his projection of 6.41.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming this week for Chase Brown just to go off, but it happened.
Yep. Adrian busted with Bijan Robinson at 6.2 points on his 11.37 projection, and Eddie. This has been the story of plenty of podcasts that I've listened to, and Kyle Pitts is at 0.
Yeah, so Bijan, I believe, picked up an injury during the game, and I think he lost some playing time because of it. He's still expected to play next week, but he was a little banged up. Kyle Pitts is just, everyone thought it was Arthur Smith just destroying him, and it turns out it wasn't. Sorry, Eddie. Thanks for taking him off my team and giving me Kelsey in the process. But, dude, he's just such a huge bust over what we expected.
Yeah, and it's been year over year over year. He just hasn't produced at any point in time of what his potential ever was.
His rookie year, he had 1,000 yards, but he had 1 touchdown, so it put a damper on it, and then he just hasn't been able to get it together since. So
yeah.
Bench heroes. Each of these guys had a rookie on their bench that could have helped them. Xavier Worthy with 14.8 points. It's one of those. The problem with Xavier Worthy is all of his points so far have been coming on one big play, and you can't always count on that.
You might be able to now, though.
We'll see. And then Eddie left. Brian Thomas is actually still remaining on his taxi squad. Brian Thomas is starting to look like me. Brian Thomas didn't get the respect because he was later in the first round, but he's looking like one of the better rookie wide receivers that's out right now. I mean, obviously Malik Neighbors is making everybody look like garbage in comparison. He's the number 1 receiver in fantasy right now. But Marvin Harrison, I don't even know if he looks as good as Brian Thomas at this moment. So
the consistency thing with Harrison is the problem, and Odunze has just been—he's kind of hurt and not not sure what's going on. He had one good game, but
Yeah.
of those top wide receivers, I
Yeah.
mean, Coleman's been kind of a disappointment as well.
I didn't like Coleman a whole lot coming out anyway, personally.
Yeah.
But anyways, injuries. Cooper Kupp, he's still out for, I think the last report I heard was that they expected Kupp out for another week or two and Puka out for another month. So that's the last thing I heard. Tyler, by the way, do you know that they changed the pronunciation of this dude's name? We always thought it was Tyler Beatty. It turns out it is pronounced Bidet. And why would you want to tell people it's pronounced Bidet? Because now we're just going to call you the ass washer? But, whatever. Anyways, he wants
to get sponsored by bidets?
I don't know. Either way, he was starting to look a little bit better since it's been so bad in the Denver backfield. But then he got tackled, and then he went on the sideline and collapsed. And they took him off on a backboard. But apparently he's got motion in all his extremities, so that's good news. But with all that, he may be an IR candidate to miss some time. And then Christian Watson got his leg rolled up on. It looked pretty nasty. They're calling it a high ankle sprain for now. Like I said, it didn't look good. But the dude's just always hurt. But this definitely opens the door for Dontavian Wicks. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. All right. Our last and final matchup is myself versus Raph. I was the underachiever of the week.
I'm shocked you beat me.
It's the only win I've got. And this was the biggest blowout of the week for our league. Congrats, Raph. I had 100.33 points, and Raph went with 130.68. Either way, he would have beat me because if he set his perfect lineup, he would have 156 points. But anyways, I was led by Sam Darnold. He's been Mr. Consistent. What?
Did you just say Sam Darnold?
Yeah.
Did you what just happened? Okay, fair enough.
I picked him up in case, or in the off season, just in case something happened with JJ, and something happened with JJ, and he's like, "Oh, I got Justin Jefferson, cool. Oh, I got Addison, cool. Oh, I can hand the ball off. This is gonna be great."
Oh, by the way, I don't have it noted on here because I just saw it this afternoon, but they're expected to open the practice window for TJ Hawkinson soon, which will mean that he's got. Once you open the practice window, they've got 21 days to put him on the roster, or they put him back on IR and you miss the rest of the season. So he's going to get another weapon back, and he's playing well, and Aaron Jones looks good.
Vikings look good.
Yeah, anyways, they're one of two undefeated teams, and they might be the best NFC team right now.
Yeah. Sorry. Brian Robinson had a good day with Eckler being out with 18.8 points on a 12 projection. Raph was led by Young Ho Koo.
That's Young Hui.
No, it's Young Ho.
Young Hui.
In English, it's Young Ho.
Ask Eddie, even though he's Korean. So you should.
If Eddie wants to come out of the podcast and correct me, I am all for it.
Okay, fair enough.
20 points on his 8.6 projection with his big winner against the Saints. I don't remember. Myles Garrett, Young Ho.
Oh, yeah.
Young the Falcons. I think they beat the Saints. Yeah. He hit the game winner. Myles Garrett. So I just thought it was funny that Raph had his kicker and his defense
as his top performers.
Performers at 14 points.
But he still beat you.
He did. But I was just kind of rubbing it into myself. But I was let down by Rashid Rice getting 2 points, and he did get hurt.
Hey, you should feel good because you got 2 points. Another league I had, because I think you got credit for him getting a tackle. Another league I had him in, I got 0. But I also saw a tweet that was like, I don't really feel bad for Rashid Rice because he's supposed to be suspended for driving 140 and injuring a bunch of people. So, yeah.
Well, whether you feel bad for him or not, like it's in very Rashee Rice form is that he would go flying down the sideline, he would cause a massive accident, and then he would leave the scene right away.
Oh, that's true. He did. He created the fumble and then ran into
created a crash by the fumble and decided like I can't handle this anymore, so I got to exit stage right.
That's funny. I like it.
Raph was let down by Josh Jacobs, barely at 9.8 points on a 13 projection.
Yeah, 19.8.
Or 9.8, not 19.
Yeah, 9.8. I think the week before he only had like 5, so that's an improvement.
Yeah.
Drew left Jameson Williams on the bench, who had 15 points, but at the same time, I think pretty much all of that was on one long touchdown play. But damn, did he look fast on that one play?
Yeah.
Raph left Ladd McConkey on his bench, who had 15.2. Ladd's another one where I feel like if you get a touchdown out of Ladd McConkey, you're going to be happy. If not, he's going to be disappointing. And then Geno Smith in that shootout on Monday night ended up with 22.6. Injuries. Mostert is still out. I heard that there's a chance of him coming back next week, but we don't know. The Rashee Rice injury is so weird because they haven't said, like, at first they thought it was a torn ACL, but now they want more testing and aren't going to say what it is until next week.
So the looks of it looked like it was hyperextended and it kind of got pushed out to the right. So it's like, that's not the ACL, but it going like laterally, like that's your ACL, which happened. So like, I think they were just thinking that was what it was going to be because that's what happens to everybody.
Yep.
I feel like they got the first one. Maybe it's too swollen and they can't see.
Yeah.
Because that happens a lot too, to where it's like your injury, it's too swollen. Maybe it's like, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. So now they're getting more tests and talking to this specialist and that specialist. It's to me as a manager, I'm got higher hopes than not coming out saying this is the problem right away because maybe there's a chance he can come back this year.
There's maybe a chance, or there's the chance that there's other damage than they're trying to figure out. And it's not as bad as Nick Chubb's knee injury, but like with Nick Chubb, he had to have like staged surgeries because they had to repair multiple things. I heard with Rashee Rice some mention of, hey, Mr. EMT guy, posterior lateral corner or something like that, a PLC or
so it's the outside. So again, it went hyper, right? We all saw that, which isn't the worst. Like that's better than going completely lateral, but there was a little bit of lateral. So it's the outside lateral ligament is what it sounds like.
Right.
But you know what? The guy's lucky. Okay. He gets in an accident, flees the scene, is still playing football. So maybe he's just one of those guys that just comes up smelling like roses.
All right, Dameon Pierce, maybe he can come back and be the backup. Jalen Warren may come back from his injury next week as well. So, standings updates. Steve, Janelle gave him his first loss. He's 7-1. We've got 3 teams, Jason, Freeman, Joe, and Josh at 5-3. Janelle, Adrian, and Raph at 4-4. Me, Jason Smith, Neil, and Eddie at 3-5, and Drew bringing up the rear at 2-6. So if we started the playoffs today, I would not even make the championship bracket. That is very sad and depressing.
I didn't look at the tiebreaker, but at this point, it would probably be Adrian is the 6th seed right now, and he would be the last seed in that championship bracket.
Yeah,
with leaving Raph out at 4-4 based off of I think points 4.
Yeah, but well, we got a lot of time to go. So
a whole bunch of time, and I'm making the dramatic comeback. I'm starting it now. Okay.
Sure. All right. Important things to note coming up. Teams on bye next week: the Lions, Chargers, Eagles, and Titans. So make sure you're paying attention to that and setting your lineup appropriately. Also, there's a London game this weekend. So depending on your time zone, it starts early, 6:30 a.m. Pacific, 7:30 Mountain, 9:30 Eastern, 5:30 Alaska. It's going to be early, so make sure you do that. We're running out of time, so We already talked about Devontae Adams. The Pats are considering starting Antonio Gibson because of Ramonde's fumbling issues. Von Miller is being suspended, which hurts a Buffalo defense that's already been hurting. And just a quick update on our bet. I was all excited because Zay Flowers only had 1.5 fantasy points, but I believe Calvin Ridley also had 1.5 fantasy points.
Right. Kevin really doesn't have a quarterback, so
Yeah,
at least I have that going for me.
So let's end this before we get cut off. Drew, this was a miserable week. Let's hope next one's better.
I feel better, though, after doing this. Thanks, dude.
Me too. At least we had some fun with it. All right.
Cheers.
We'll talk to y'all next week. Cheers.
See ya.
Bye.